Tesla came out with all electric. And all electric was much more appealing to the environmentally oriented people and I would say wealthy liberals with a social change mindset on both the East Coast and West Coast of the United States. And they bought Teslas like they were going out of style.
Welcome to our Tesla earnings from the National Gallery. We're in the section of the National Gallery that focuses on the art and sculptures of Augustus Rodin. There are two parts to the gallery, one from about 150 years ago to now, and then 150 years ago all the way back into the 1300s, and that's the section we're in today. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. I think artwork is appropriate today given the earnings that Tesla came out with, which the market enjoyed a lot, so I guess we have to call it a work of art. You'll notice in terms of our art introduction that most of Rodin's sculptures are nudes, and the reason for that is that it renders them timeless, so you can't date the sculpture based on the clothing being worn by the subjects. So, as you know, Tesla came out with its earnings, and there's a mystery that's going on that I wanted to discuss here today. As you know, Elon came out with a forecast of someplace between 20 and 30% growth next year in terms of revenue. And the question is that realistic? And if it is realistic, it gives us a nice upside on the stock price. So one of the things we enjoy doing here at Tesla is discussing the fact that Bob Lutz had predicted that Tesla had no advantages and therefore would be quickly destroyed by the power of all the large auto companies that would roll up and destroy them. So there are three examples that bring this into question. The first is that, as you know, the Model E from Ford has run into a problem with 1 year's supply of unsold vehicles. It'll be interesting to see how they handle those vehicles as they enter a new model year, because there's obviously going to be some discounting to address the older years not selling. The second example of things not working out as predicted by Bob Lutz and others in the industry is that I have an amazing experience going on right now watching the Hummer EV being displayed. As you know, the first year of sales, they sold one of those EVs. We're now, I believe, in year 3, and there's heavy advertising for this vehicle. But I'm always amazed by the fact that it's possible that they could give away free the ones they've sold when you consider all that they've spent when it comes to advertising. The third sort of illustration of the point here is that there's a new phenomenon that's gone on over the last 5 to 8 years, and it's called I paid $100,000, but the vehicles I'm getting do not anticipate all the characteristics of the best option. So usually when you spend $100,000, you're getting a company that's well thought of for the solution you have and well organized. In this case, when you have Tesla offering, in essence, $100,000 vehicles for $30,000 or $40,000, that's a really powerful situation. The reverse of that would be that you've now purchased, let's say, a GM vehicle, and you've spent $100,000 on a Cadillac. The problem that pops up is that the charging facilities you enjoy on a $100,000 Cadillac is not any better than, or even worse than most other vehicles, because GM doesn't have its own charging network. It does now have fast charging, which is good. But the problem is that you have this disaster going on. So what's happened is that consumers have then decided that Tesla's organization and implementation of the electric vehicle is far superior to what's available from competing firms, even if those firms have big names that they've purchased from previously. So where this leaves us is now Tesla's earnings come out. Their earnings are up. Why are their earnings up? Well, the biggest impact of their earnings for the quarter was the fact that all the companies not selling enough EVs but selling a lot of ICE vehicles are now in a stuck position. They have to pay a fee for not selling enough EVs, and that fee usually goes to Tesla, and that equals $780 million this quarter. And so the argument against this fee is that the large makes will get their act together, and you will no longer have the Tesla advantage that allows them to get paid. That totally makes sense, but the problem is that this is not going to end soon. At least for the next year, Tesla will see increasing amounts of fees coming from other manufacturers not having sold enough electric vehicles. So where this leaves us is that Tesla has growth in revenue and earnings. It's also getting fees from other manufacturers in the United States as well as in Europe, and all that adds up to a lot of cash. So the open question now for the next three to 6 months of Tesla's stock price is, what's going to happen with their earnings and revenue? And the answer we're coming up with is that it's not going to be a blockbuster earnings and revenue, let's say like NVIDIA, but they're doing well and they're promising to do even better. So congratulations for those of you who had the courage to stay into Tesla. There's a number of people I know who they actually made an effort to short Tesla heading into earnings. That didn't really work out too well. So the other strange thing about those earnings was that Elon has decided to focus exclusively on what's going on with FSD and its potential for adding revenue and growth. So the answer that's coming up is that FSD, it's a good idea. It's working for other entities to some extent. But the problem we have going right now is that the FSD isn't generating significant numbers, but in theory, he's expecting that it will. So the strange thing I noticed, this is a self-portrait by Augustus Rodin of himself. So the problem we're running into basically is that there are a lot of competitors who have a lot of money and they're not making a lot of progress. And Tesla is consistently making progress. So as a result, we're ending up with Tesla experiencing a lot of growth, a lot of success. We're going to be closing out with the thinker once again from Rodin. As you know, he was born in 1840 and died in 1917. And some pretty awesome sculpture work. His most famous piece is The Gates of Hell, which I did not see here, but I think they do have a copy of it in this museum. If you're in Washington, D.C., I encourage you to check out the National Gallery of Art. Some great stuff. Picasso's are one of the entities here, but there's a large number of great pieces for one to enjoy. So the answer I have from the earnings is I think it's great. I'm a bit confused though, because with the arrival of the robots in large numbers, as well as the semi, those are two catalysts for the stock price that are very clear. Elon is determined to get FSD to be a huge driver for earnings and profit. And the problem is that we've all been waiting for it for the last 5 years, and it's never happened. I'm also confused by FSD because we keep having some ugly accidents relative to FSD, and Elon will do all the work going to court, but settle at the last minute at all times in these cases. So is he settling just for the heck of it, or it's not that much money, or is he settling because it doesn't work that great? That's why he's settling. So we don't know the answer to that. But as he pushes to have more tests of this vehicle, we'll find out. The beauty here, though, is I think it doesn't matter because the Semi is an excellent vehicle that's doing great for customers. The number of units out there keep growing. We have a show coming about the Semi, which is focused on, well, what to expect. Because of the slow rollout of the vehicle, there's an assumption it doesn't work well or there's some other problems with it. But the reality is that, as Elon has stated, it does impact pollution significantly, but the number of vehicles that'll be put out is relatively small compared to the number of cars being produced. I believe that there's a thing going on where Elon is saving the entire industry from destruction, because there are two vehicles that if he put out, which is a regular delivery van, similar to what Amazon uses, as well as a regular pickup truck that normal people could drive around, those two vehicles would sell so many copies that it would triple the stock price easily. But Elon doesn't find those real interesting, hence he's not putting them out, even though they could be done very quickly. So we look forward to more updates on the robots and their implementation, particularly in the factory setting of Tesla. And so there are potential catalysts out there that are significant. It's just a question of when Elon decides to implement them. So congratulations to the folks at Tesla on another good quarter. Congratulations on the fact that you're getting good numbers without necessarily having to show a severe catalyst that's delivering immediate numbers. I think it saves the whole industry from destruction that Elon is choosing to roll out Tesla's products in the way he's doing so. So, the big issue now is we talked about the Tesla hitting Europe, and the question now is, are we going to start seeing test quantities of those vehicles? Because even if you're buying 10 of them, you need 1 megapack to drive that. And from what I've been reading, Norway and perhaps Tesla are the only two people that are implementing these megapacks to efficiently roll that out. Once again, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye for now, and goodbye from the National Gallery of Art.